Hello everyone, welcome to the 5th episode of the Minor Swing Lick Book. It's a series in which we are looking at various world-class jazz musicians and taking some of their licks and applying them to the chords of minor swing. The first 2 episodes were about Sonny Stitt, and then the 3rd and 4th episode about Django. If you haven't seen those episodes, go check them out. There's links in the description. And this will be the 5th episode about piano player CEDAR WALTON, one of the great jazz piano players in history. And I will make another episode, episode 6, also about CEDAR WALTON, but that one will be for my patrons over on patreon.com. So if you want to see that exclusive video, check out my Patreon. There's a link in the description. And if you join there for the €10 tier, you will get access to that video, but also to the exclusive videos I made about Sonny Stitt and Django. And if you join there for the €5 tier, you will get access to all the tabs that you will see on screen today. All the licks come from a solo he played on the standard The Night Has 1,000 Eyes. And if you want to listen to that original performance, which you really should, there's a link to that also in the description. So let's take a look at phrase number 1. 1, 2, 3, 4. Three, 4. So in this episode, it's going to be 5 2-5-1s. And maybe you are familiar with the changes to minor swing and you realize that there is no 2-5-1 in minor swing. But I'm using different changes, which I recorded in the backing track, link in the description. And there is a 2-5-1 in that progression in C, which you just saw in the improv. By the way, this methodology of using this one song for all the phrases comes from my book, The Van Hemert System. And that's a book that starts from having absolute zero knowledge about jazz improvisation to quite an advanced level by using some of the fundamental shapes that I've identified on the guitar neck. This is a continuation of that system, and hopefully it will turn into a second book, sort of a compilation of all these episodes. So this first phrase is a great 2-5-1. He starts with this arpeggio with a lead tone. That's a B half diminished arpeggio, and that's something that fits really well on top of G7. In fact, if you play a B half diminished chord, you can also use that for G7. So B half diminished, you get that 9 for G7, and then an F major 7 arpeggio. F major 7 is something that you would normally play on D minor 7, right? So you both get the upper structure, if you want to call that, of G7, then the upper structure of D minor 7. Now you might say, but the chord there is D minor 7, why is he also playing G7? That's because in a 2-5-1 in jazz, you can always replace the 2 chord by the 5 chord and vice versa. So he's just making a mix of both. Now we get basically a C major scale, but with chromatics, really jazzy sounding chromatics. You can call them enclosures if you want to. So first down a third and then up to the D. And now the scale continues. And now there's a couple of enclosures. I don't really care about what those enclosures are called because they all have names. I just care about the fact that it sounds great and it's a great way to spice up a major scale. Let's go to phrase number 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Three, 4, 1. the solo itself, he plays this 2-5-1 later, but I put it here as number 2 because it's so similar to the previous one. Starts the same, except on beat 2, 3, 4, 1. But now the resolution is different. In the first 2-5-1, we didn't have really any alterations on the 5 chord, with just chromatics, but that's not really the same. But here, he plays this A flat minor arpeggio. And if you play it on top of a G7 chord, you get a G7 altered with both the flat 13, the E flat, and the flat 9, which is the A. So by playing, you bring out that altered sound. And then I put this resolution. He doesn't really play that in the original solo because it goes to different chords. I think originally the 2-5-1 is in B flat and it goes to B flat minor there. So he changes, but I wanted to make it so that you have 2 bars of C. So this is a resolution that I came up with, but it's basically a very standard bebop resolution. Let's go to phrase number 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. Three, 4. This is a very bebop sounding lick. Well, most of the stuff that CEDAR WALTON plays is bebop, and there are some more contemporary phrases in there, but this is a real bebop lick. The first phrase really sounds like D minor 7. You can hear that arpeggio in there. And now we basically get a C major scale down with embellishments. Right, to the B, to the A, to the G. And then this really great resolution for C. It's very simple ideas, but they sound great. You basically have a strong fundament of this major scale, the C major scale, but then with the embellishments it makes it more special. That's more or less what you get in every bebop lick, but with different fundamentals. Maybe it's a scale, maybe it's an arpeggio, and of course different kinds of embellishments. This one is very diatonic, right? There are still chromatics in it, but it sounds very diatonic. But with the first lick you had this, right, that kind of chromaticism, which is a different kind of flavor, but the same basic principle. Let's go to the next phrase. 1, 2, 3, 4. Three, 4. This phrase is based around a diminished scale, and the diminished scale that you would play on G7. So if you would start on G going up, you would start with a half step, whole step, half step, whole step. So it's half, whole, alternating. So in this lick it goes down. Usually it's played down. And of course it starts with, but that's not really important. The important part is, there you have that scale down. And how you start with that skill is not important. I could imagine playing something else before. Maybe you play something like And this resolution is also not the most important thing, but it's a nice one. It's a different flavor from all those eighth note lines. These are quarter note lines with repeating notes. And a nice slide. Make sure that you try to swing those quarter notes, right? By playing them with a goal, with the intention of resolving to that final note. And also, don't play them too long. Play them. Make them sound juicy. I was talking about the swinging quarter notes also in the episode about Django, so go watch that. Let's go to the final phrase. 1, 2, 3, 4. 3, 4. What I like about this 251 is that it is very low on the guitar, or on the lower strings. Of course, that's where I put it. I could also have put it an octave higher on the higher strings. But I don't have enough 251 phrases that only make use of the lowest 3 strings. Now you could say, well, you could take any lick and put them on the lowest 3 strings. Yeah, that is correct, but I usually don't do that. I usually find 1, maybe 2, but usually 1 place to play them, because if I have to play them at multiple places, it's just double the amount of time. And usually I'm going to play them anyway in the position that is most comfortable. So this one is very comfortable on the lowest 3 strings. So I keep it there. And the ideas behind this 251 are, again, very easy. It's basically all notes from the C major scale with some chromatic approach notes. For example, that first, you could say it's an enclosure to the D. That's all notes from the C major scale. That is an embellishment of the D again. I like the resolution ending on the 6, which is something that a lot of bebop players do, but also a lot of gypsy jazz players. For example, Django does that a lot. This was the first episode about CEDAR WALTON. If you've never heard of this piano player, go check out some more of his stuff. It's all great stuff, and he wrote a bunch of really great tunes like CEDAR's Blues, but also, of course, the famous Bolivia. And for the next episode, which is an exclusive for my patrons, I will check out some more of his minor licks, because this was all 251s, but minor string has a lot of minor chords, and I didn't play anything by CEDAR WALTON on those chords, but I will in the next episode. So hopefully I will see you there on my Patreon, or I will see you in the next video right here on YouTube. If you liked the video, please give it a like, consider subscribing, and until the next time. Bye!